Chapter 3. Date, November 18th, 2585, 1445. Location, Grezgelaya, TSR. His maneuvers were erratic. It was easy to justify that he was trying to evade his homicidal pursuers, but in truth, he was honest-to-God lost. He barely had a grasp on where, let alone the other 4 W's floating around in his mind. His face twisted into a panic as he scanned the street signs half translated into English on his malfunctioning navigational HUD. From his perspective, he had nothing but a flickering blue line to guide him to 217 MH Alfoizo Spiraz, and if he were lucky, the answer to all of his questions. The crowd was nothing more than a nauseating sea of paranoia. At any moment, another one of those gun-toting black shirts could emerge from the crowd and try to kill him. All he could do was follow the line and pray that he wouldn't become prey. The route swerved between civilians. The street wasn't as busy as a major interstellar hub like New York City, the heart of the UIA, but it was enough to hide in. It was like his neural lace was programmed with an elevated sense of self-preservation, putting innocent people in front of him as he walked to his destination. He couldn't help but scan every cubic centimeter around him for armed assailants. He was losing his mind. The line turned a sharp right just behind a man on an overly protracted phone call. He wanted to crouch, but immediately resisted. It would only make him more of a target if anyone were watching. Instead, the line revealed what he was looking for. 217 Alfoizo Spiraz. A blue-skinned Paltorian doorman in a red suit called out to him.
"Mr. Henderson, it's been a long time."
He looked at the man, trying to process what he said.
"Mitchell?"
He shook his head. "My name is Mitchell Henderson," he thought. It didn't have as great a meaning as he thought as he walked toward the door. Mitchell looked up, decoding the last of his address. M, 13th letter in the English alphabet, 13th floor. H, 8th letter of the alphabet, apartment 8. Too easy. He walked forward as the doorman allowed him in and bowed. The lounge behind the door was white-tiled with emerald-green pillars and bronze statues of Paltorian gods chained to their home world, Oshali, as they tried to flee. It was a disturbing image to him, but the elegant decor led him to believe that he was a wealthy man, cause enough for anyone to kill him on the edge of colonized space. It didn't explain the level of organization his killers possessed, though. Mitchell made his way through the lobby and made it to the elevator, and pressed the 14th button from the bottom. The doors opened immediately to the most obnoxiously bright, synthesized Paltorian music, blipping and singing, "Good afternoon, what a beautiful day." He walked in just as the doors closed and the music hit its most obnoxious crescendo. Mitchell punched the wall and left a sizable dent as the car shook on its magnetic axis. The music slowed to a malfunctioning halt as he returned his hand to his side. The elevator shot up to the 13th floor as Mitchell studied his hand. Not even a scratch. Anyone else would have thought that he used a sledgehammer to make a dent like that, and yet there he stood, his fists still clenched in frustrated confusion. The elevator lurched to a halt as the doors sprang open. He walked into the corridor immediately, greeted to the sight of door H. A chill shot up his spine as he approached the door. It was his place, but to him, it was like breaking and entering into the home of a total stranger. Mitchell took a deep breath and placed his hand on the scanner. The hermetic seal released, and the door opened with a hiss. It wasn't some decrepit, dark dungeon. It was a naturally well-lit apartment decorated in the same white and emerald decor he found in the lobby. He scanned around the apartment, practically turning the place upside down, looking for traps or hostiles. The apartment was clear, but rather than look for answers right away, he wanted a break. He looked out his window and saw that beautiful, exotic view he wanted to appreciate more. He walked out on the balcony and felt the sea breeze kiss his face as he looked out over the view of the contrast between the city and the jungle beyond its limits, the world trying to swallow the city whole, not unlike what it was doing to him. Fuck. He swore under his breath as inevitability kicked in. A blue light shot out next to him, and he lurched backward. The light focused into the shape of an old but disciplined butler trying to mold a show of relief.
MH217. It has been approximately 71 hours, 59 minutes. and 40 seconds since your last report to headquarters. You have approximately 20 seconds until total system purge.
Headquarters?
You have 15 seconds to send report.
Who is headquarters? The AI began counting down from 10 as Mitchell bit his lip. This was probably his best source of information, and it was about to wipe itself from existence.
10 seconds.
Shit, tell him I'm alive.
Target status 5, 4, 3,
Unknown! Target
2,
status unknown!
1.
It stopped counting and froze in place as it made dial tones. Mitchell held his breath. He had no idea who those mangled words were being sent to, but he didn't want them to know he was alive. He darted to the central networking box in his closet and pried the lid off. He saw a mess of wires and pulled every single one without regard for function. The AI suddenly appeared in front of him.
QIC failure. Incomplete report sent. Target status unknown.
Mitchell sighed.
Is there anything else I can do for you, sir?
Mitchell shook his head and walked out of the enclosed space, the AI tracking him as if it were walking on air. What is your designation?
Tactical Intelligence Monitor 217, issued to service number MH217 by Black Star Operations on August 15th, 2572.
Alliance?
Yes, sir.
Access service record for Mitchell Henderson from your databanks.
Accessing. No record found.
He shook his head. Who's my last target?
Accessing. No record found.
God damn it, what information do you have?
Tactical Intelligence Monitor 217, issued to service number MH217 by Black Star Operations on August 15th, 2572.
Mitchell had an epiphany. He figured out his military service number. Access all records for service number MH217.
MH217, enlisted 2566. Graduated top of his class from basic training, advanced individual training, officer candidate school, spacer school, and Black Star Operations school. Deployments: Operation Trident 2570, Operation Achilles 2572.
The AI stopped reading. Is that all?
Yes, sir. No records for MH21704 beyond December 2572.
Mitchell paused as he thought about the information. Oh, 4? How could I have made Major in 5 short years? The lack of records made no sense and only spurred more questions. Is there a name associated with service number MH217?
Negative. No name associated with that service number.
Mitchell shook his head. This was getting him nowhere.
Sir, why are you asking me these questions?
He turned to face it. Its photons maintained their stiff, inhuman behavior, but the question was something that contradicted its own structure. You're no ordinary combat AI, are you?
My programming dictates that I keep you alive and healthy.
I don't know where to start, Tim. Mitchell stopped himself. The nickname seemed natural given its designation, but it had a comfortable familiarity about it. I call you Tim, don't I?
Quite frequently, sir. I believe you never had a flair for formal precise protocol. Is asset under stress?
That a question?
Yes, sir.
Mitchell slapped his head. It didn't have any useful intelligence, and its personality was driving him mad. That's it. Who programmed your personality?
Headquarters programs all AI for assets in the field. It is the best way for them to keep all assets in check through QIC monitoring and prevent tampering with property.
You have no QIC connection.
Unable to access QICs.
Good. At least he could get one nagging problem off his back. Your official designation is Tim and only Tim. Wipe all previous personality settings and adapt your personality to myself and the situation at hand. Roger?
I do not have any personality settings, sir. I could just delete myself if that would please you.
Learning already. Tim dematerialized as Mitchell looked around the room, trying to figure out what to do next. He noticed a red dot on the refrigerator. It was far too bright to be a design or stain. It was a laser sight. Every cell in his body told him to look. He ignored the urge and walked out of the window's line of sight into his bedroom. There was a sniper team out there waiting for him. The door resonated with a metallic knock. Tim reappeared with a view of the hall outside. There were 4 black shirts with assault rifles at the low readies stacking on his door.
You did not tell me we were expecting company, sir.
I wasn't, Mitchell replied, beginning to think he was setting an obnoxious example. Sort yourself for hard transfer, we're leaving.
Do you have a plan, sir?
Mitchell paused. The sniper would be able to pick him off the second he stepped out from the room. Even if they missed, he had a fire team with high-powered assault rifles waiting for him to run to the nearest exit. Shit.
There are alternatives to that exit, sir.
A small compartment slid open on the wall to Mitchell's left. It was about 1 cubic meter lined with weapons and ammunition of varying culture. He wasn't exactly surprised, given the fact that this all apparently started when he was tasked to kill someone. He grabbed a magnetic accelerator pistol out of the compartment and pulled back the slide. Fully loaded. He released the slide with great hesitation. He knew he had killed before, but this time it didn't feel natural. You expect me to kill them?
No, sir.
Tim replied as he opened a 1 square meter door next to the armory.
That is a Paltorian Commando sniper team out there with an antimatter rifle. You may be able to survive a laser beam, bullet, or plasma burst, but if you get hit with antimatter, you will detonate on a subatomic level well before you align your sights on the fire team at your door.
Mitchell shook his head as he tried to process what Tim was telling him.
Grab whatever weapons you wish and jump down the laundry shaft.
Who exactly is chasing me?
It would be easier for me to speculate who is not trying to kill you right now. Would you like me to compile that data?
Mitchell stuck the pistol and 2 extra magazines in his cargo pockets. No, Tim, I want a straight answer. He grabbed a plasma submachine gun and charged the weapon in frustration. Who the fuck is at my door?
Those soldiers came from Blackout. They're the largest PMC in the galaxy, armed with the numbers, knowledge, and audacity to challenge the Alliance for military supremacy.
Mitchell grabbed 2 additional plasma canisters and slung the submachine gun on his shoulder. Who'd I kill to piss them off?
My apologies, sir. All mission records were wiped after you failed to report in. However, I am not sure you killed them if Blackout is still here.
Mitchell thought back to what he said, target status unknown, to make Tim shut up. He panicked then, but he realized the confused panic in the moment wasn't just because he had no clue what Tim was talking about. It was what he thought of his target when he finally had her cornered. The suppressor on Mitchell's pistol led him down the hall as he stepped over the fresh corpse of a Blackout soldier. His target was just behind the door he guarded. Mitchell quickly scanned both ends of the corridor. As far as he was concerned, the whole deck was quiet. He pried the scanner off of the wall and began to fiddle with the wires until he bypassed the lock, causing it to unseal with a hissing clunk. His hand clawed into the narrow crack and pushed the door into the wall. Light flooded into the room. A black room narrowly touched up by posters of classic Paltorian films, perhaps the most overly pretentious films put to screen. Mitchell rolled his eyes as he tried to scrub hours of cellulose from his mind. His pistol stayed on task, scanning the room until he found his target between sheets and pillows. Mitchell wanted to take the shot, but the stark contrast between the light from the hall and the darkness of the room made it nigh impossible to distinguish a kill shot. He snooped across the room until he was within a meter of her. He trained the sights on her head. Her eyes opened. Before Mitchell could even analyze the situation, he was slammed into the ceiling. He had the wind knocked out of him as his head spun around the room. He narrowly made out his long, black-haired target pointing his own gun at him. He closed his eyes in a state somewhere between shaking off the delirium and hoping for a quick end. Mitchell dropped from the ceiling as alarms began to blare across the ship. He coughed profusely as he looked up at his target. Something stirred inside of him as she shouted orders in Paltorian. She rolled her eyes, picked him up by his lapels, and pushed him out the door. She only had one word for him.
Run!
He darted out of the room. He heard a distinctive cough behind him fractions of a second before the bullet passed through him. Mitchell failed his mission. Blackout was here to ensure he didn't get a second shot. He was caught between a rock and a hard place. His enemy wanted him dead. his employer, and all of their allies wanted him out of the picture for being officially AWOL. He honestly didn't know for sure. All he could do was speculate why this mess was happening. He noticed a small rectangular holodisk pop out of the wall next to the armory. It was Tim's physical program. Mitchell grabbed the card with his right hand and juggled it in his fingers. He felt the back of his head with his left hand and felt a small plug that would support the device. He plugged Tim in and was immediately greeted to a text message on the upper right-hand corner of his vision.
Dive, soldier.
An explosion blew the front door of his apartment clean off. Mitchell didn't even hesitate. He clambered into the laundry shaft as quickly as he could and slid down. It was barely wide enough to allow his frame to pass through as gravity made him fall at alarming speeds from 13 dark and claustrophobic stories up. He hit the ground in seconds, the pile of clothes doing nothing to break his fall. The concrete beneath his feet caved and cracked. He had done more damage to it than it had done to him. He raised the submachine gun's sights to his eye and quickly cleared his surroundings. Tim flashed a waypoint in the upper right-hand corner of his vision labeled car. Mitchell got the message. Fastest way out of the city and hopefully out of the system. He wasn't ready to leave the system just yet, though. He wanted to see the crash scene where he was recovered and find the people who dragged him to the hospital.